So yeah, fire them off. Someone goes, evening workouts, what's the best thing to eat for lunch? Probably something low glycemic. If you're eating carbs, I mean, it's going to be like sweet potato or like oatmeal or something that you don't crash. I know personally when I get off of work, you don't, like, you're tired, especially if you had a lot of meetings. You don't necessarily like want to go, especially if your blood sugar is down, you know. If you're low carb, then, you know, probably like a salad or something like that would do. And make sure you get a good, ample, clean, you know, healthy source of protein in you. Is replenishing glycogen post-workout essential? Depends on how frequently you're training. If you're training a body part like every 2 to 3 days, no. If you're going to train that same body part again at night, yes. What are your thoughts on circuit training to build muscle and lose fat? My thought is that, again, we're going to think about it like this, right? Circuit training does increase metabolism. It does increase fat loss. And if you're not used to it, like a lot of guys, like girls will do a lot of circuits, right? A lot of guys are like, oh, I'm not going to do circuits. You know, I'm too tough for that or whatever. But I think that circuits are really good. They're very positive.
Giant sets.
So giant sets, yeah, for guys, exactly. If you're a guy, just say you're doing a giant set. It's still a circuit. So yes, there's a lot of evidence that doing a circuit can help you build muscle and lose fat at the same time.
We're back, IG. Someone said, does leucine cause a spike in insulin?
Leucine causes a small increase in insulin, but I think the thing to understand is that basically it's also going to increase another hormone called glucagon. It's going to kind of counter the effects of insulin. Also, long term, you're going to see long term that leucine causes fat loss. Because I think people associate, like, if insulin goes up, I'm not going to lose fat. But it's very, very small amount. It's not like having a bunch of carbs. So I wouldn't worry about it. If the goal is maximizing hypertrophy in the long term, isn't that always the goal?
It's always the goal. Maybe it's strength. Maybe there's, I don't know.
True, yeah. It could be something else.
Fat loss.
Yeah. Can adding 1 to 5 reps strength-based training into a program be optimizing for growth? I don't. People are going to hate on me for this. I say no. I think that if your primary long-term goal is hypertrophy and you're doing strength, you should be 4 to 6 reps.
What if your goal is to increase strength so that you can move heavier weight for hypertrophy?
And I've heard that question before. The thing is, and your 1 RM on a squat is different than your 1 RM on a 12 rep set. So you're going to increase strength on your squat, but like if I'm doing a true 1 RM on squat, I'm using my stomach. You know, I'm using everything I can to get that rep up, and I'm not doing that on an 8 to 12 repetition set, especially if my focus is hypertrophy. You know, so I think that increasing your strength in a 4 to 6 rep, particularly a 6 rep range, will translate to hypertrophy because the form is more similar to the higher repetition sets. And it's not like you're not going to increase maximal strength of 4 to 6 reps, you know, but that's just my thoughts overall. So you're going to be in the upper range of that, if that answers your question. Good question, Anthony. Okay, eat, sleep, work, gym, repeat. Oh, so it sounds like everyone in this facility. What do you do for adrenal fatigue due to stimulant during prep? So I think the main thing is that you're just like, you can't get your energy up. Stimulants no longer work for you, you know, and basically you kind of got to resensitize yourself is what you're saying. And so basically a couple things that you're going to have to wean off. Like you don't just come off, but like go to easier stimulants like just caffeine and then wean that down. One thing that I do think helps, and I'm gonna let Andy jump in on this, but I think like you know, stuff like MCTs help, you know, because they raise certain things in your blood that will actually help recover from things like that. But go ahead, Andy.
Jump in on this. I can attest to that because I don't know if you've seen any previous lives. I'm like, at one point I was drinking like 4 Monsters a day or 3 Rockstars.
I used to do that too.
Workout. Yeah. So it became a point where I was desensitized to caffeine. It just made me. Oh, sorry guys. It made me just tired if I would drink caffeine, but I needed it to be normal. So it was weird. But anyway, I would take things like drink the bulletproof coffee thing. Drink that in the morning. Kind of just coconut oil, just because it's high in the MCTs. But that was more of a neurological stimulant that wasn't increasing my heart rate or making me feel anxious or anything like caffeine would. And if you saw last week, we did a post on Yohimbe. Yohimbe is great for fat loss, but it does something different than what caffeine does. So they target different receptors. But I was doing a little bit more research on Yohimbe, finding that it actually does cause a stimulant effect similar to caffeine. Therefore, if you're kind of caffeine overload or overloaded on caffeine, you could use something like Yohimbe, so switch back and forth between the two, and it may give you the effect that caffeine would give you. Or like I was saying, doing like coconut oil or MCT oil in the morning or when you need some energy.
That helps a lot. And so the biggest thing too, guys, and I know this is going to sound really backward because it seems like if you're bodybuilding, it goes against it. But for therapeutic benefits, getting out of that funk, like intermittent fasting, is huge.
Yep.
Like you can ask the guys, like there will be times where I travel so much, I'm so out of it, I have no idea. I'll wake up in bed and I'm like, where am I? You know what I mean? And fasting, fasting will actually, like, I'll fast all the way to like 3 or 4, and these guys see like I'm literally on point. You do that for a few days, I would wager to say you're going to recover out of what you're in probably in the next 2 weeks. You'll feel like brand new, good as new. And also check out Ryan P. Lowry's Instagram. It's Ryan Plowry. He covers a lot of interesting. He covers a lot of interesting stuff that goes further into the mechanism of why MCT oil would work. So Ryan Plowry, go on Instagram and follow him, and he covers a lot of stuff beyond MCT oil. Okay, Allmeyer says, "What's up, Allmeyer? Any evidence of 20-hour fast is better on fat loss versus 16-hour fast? 20-hour fast." You got to be careful with it. If you're trying to gain muscle, you are not going to. So you don't want to do that more than like once or twice a week. That's my advice on that. If you have a ton of body fat, it could work really well. So for example, if you're like 30% body fat, cool. But if you're like 15% or below, I wouldn't do it unless you're doing it like every other day. You know, or like two to 3 times a week, whereas on the other days you're going back to a 16-hour fast. Okay, what is more beneficial? Progressive overload at the cost of form, or exercise execution / contracting at the cost of load? Okay, that's a really good question. Here's the thing. There was a paper that came out a few years ago, and it's actually on mechanics and lifting. So William Wallace is like our mechanics guy here at ASPI, right? And you definitely check him out. Like, check out William Wallace on Instagram. We call him the neuromechanic. But basically, when you're lifting, there's a paper that actually came out that a little bit of momentum actually allowed you to place more total load on the muscle than none at all. So the point is, like, if you get so strict that you have to use a pink dumbbell for all of your lifts, that might not be ideal. Okay, so you have to understand something for a second, right? Tension is a component of mechanics, and it's a component of your mind-muscle connection. They're two distinct and separate entities, right? So if I have the most focus in the world to where I'm able to activate a ton of muscle on a bicep curl with a pink dumbbell, say I'm able to somehow activate all my muscle with a pink dumbbell, okay? There's still a mechanical component that causes muscle damage, right? And a pink dumbbell is not going to cause a lot of muscle damage. I don't care if I recruit my muscle. A pink dumbbell's not going to recruit a lot of muscle damage, right? Okay? So the point is that I still have to lift a certain amount of weight that even if I have a mind-muscle connection is got enough, that can place enough tension on the muscle so that you can get muscle damage. Does that make sense, guys? So again, I'm not telling you, like, people are going to walk away and go, oh, Wilson said I could throw the weight around. That's not what I said. What I'm saying is that having a little bit of momentum is not a bad thing. And so I think that using a combination of the mind-muscle connection, intent, but so you can still use optimal weight, it's okay to use a little bit of momentum. Maybe that is good form if it allows you to place more tension on the muscle.
Do you want to kind of talk about concentric versus eccentric?
Yeah, good
like
point.
The muscle damage part of it?
Good point. So that's the other thing. You can lift more weight eccentrically and concentrically. So if I limit myself to my mind-muscle connection, so with only what I can lift concentrically and have no momentum, I'll never overload the eccentric portion of the lift, because I can lift it about twice as much eccentrically than concentrically. And so basically what's happening is that if that's the case, that ends up being a problem. And so basically you kind of want to make sure that momentum may allow you to overload. Well, if you can get a little bit more concentrically, then you can control that on the way down. That's where things can actually help. That's a really good point, Andy. Are intra-workout carbs useful, or does the digestion interfere with peak effort training? So that's Neil Nicole. Anyway, Neil Nicole. There's a good study. Okay, and after this one.
Oh, keep going. You're good. Just keep going.
Did it die?
Yep. Just keep going.
Okay. Okay. So basically, Instagram went down, so I'm going to wait for that to go up. I'm going to go back to that question because I want Instagrammers to hear that. So I'm going to come back to that, and I'm going to answer this question. You don't need to save it though, because we saved it.
No, you're good.
Okay. Can circuit training be used to replace HIIT cardio? You need both. I wouldn't say entirely. I think that both are helpful, right? So I would say that circuit training can be a substitution for HIIT cardio, but it's not going to entirely replace HIIT cardio, right? Just like HIIT cardio might not totally replace circuit training. They overlap in mechanisms, but they're not exactly the same, So I'm going to go back to it's the 3 week. We're a little rusty because it's 3 weeks.
God, it's the 3 weeks.
Excuse us, guys. But that question, going back to what was the question earlier? Do you guys remember?
Carb digestion during training.
Okay.
Workout carbs.
Carb digestion during training. There's a guy. When I was going through grad school, I called him the Hoff. His name is Greg Hoff. I'm gonna have to plug it in a little bit. His name's Gregory Hoff. My brother, Dr. Gabe Wilson, I used to call him just the Hoff. And his background is strength and conditioning. And basically, he's done all the research on intra-workout carbs. Now, why would you have intra-workout carbs? Really, you're trying to increase your performance, right? What he found is that you really don't increase performance with intra-workout carbs unless your reps are super high. So you're like doing like 50% of your 1RM, which you're going to be doing sets of 20 with that, right? And you're going to have to do like 20 plus sets per body part. So if you're doing 20 plus sets per body part and the whole workout's 50% of your 1RM and you want to increase your performance by like 5 to 10%, okay, intra-workout carbs might help. If you don't fall in that category, then no. And intra-workout carbs can also interfere with things like mitochondrial adaptation. So you have to really base it on your goal. If you're doing CrossFit, yeah, intra-workout, if you're doing a contest, intra-workout carbs during the contest would be beneficial. But there's a lady basically who did a lot of research in 2005, and basically she found that you might want to train low, compete high. So if you train in a lower carb state and you can compete in a higher carb state, it could be beneficial. Okay, so how often do you incorporate accommodating resistance into your training? I should incorporate it a lot more, to be quite honest. You know what I mean? Yeah, we do. Well, actually, we have prime equipment, so we technically use accommodating resistance on our prime equipment every day, pretty much to an extent. If you're talking about bands and chains, I would recommend once a week at minimum. I would. And I periodize, so I go like 2 weeks bands, 2 weeks chains.
God, this thing hates me today.
Yeah. Sorry, Instagram. I'm sorry.
This phone's taking a beating.
So, okay, how often do you incorporate... Oh, I answered that question. What do you think about ZMA? I think it's beneficial. Like actually, Chris Irvin in our lab texted me last night a product that was high in like magnesium. It really helps with sleep. And if you're low carb, oftentimes when people are cramping when they're low carb, if you've ever just switched to low carb and like, oh, I'm cramping, taking ZMA can oftentimes help with that. So I definitely recommend it. And it also helps if you're low in things like zinc and magnesium, you can actually be depressed. Actually, a little known fact, I got offered to a scholarship to be in a PhD program to look at the impact of training and nutrition, and the nutrition was actually zinc on depression. But I thought I would be too depressed. So I decided to stick with skeletal muscle. Thomas 4B Johnson. What's up, Thomas 4B Johnson? Lost 130 pounds using your advice. Dude, Thomas, so when I'm done with this question, send me a fist bump, because I'm fist bumping you right there. It's like, text me a fist bump. That's all. Thomas B4 Johnson, dude, 130 pounds using my advice. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm appreciative. You literally just made my day and you doubled my energy. So use intermittent fasting, was low carb. Started intra-workout carbs, so want to know about how I can progress with lean mass, but want to keep lean. Is this possible in intermittent fasting? Yeah, absolutely, Thomas, but what you might want to do is make sure intermittent fasting is constrained to like where you cycle the intermittent fasting hours. So say you were doing like 16-hour fasts, what you might want to do is every other day do 12-hour fasts only, or do 2 to 3 days a week where you're still doing the 16 hours a week, and the other days you're doing 12-hour fasts. That should give you plenty of time to then gain lean muscle. And maybe try and have just maintenance calories with high enough protein, and you should be able to recover, man. But shoot me that fist bump, man. I appreciate you. Dyron Bates, unable to maintain a pump during 2-a-days. I know, yeah, no, it sucks. Not being able to maintain a pump's the worst thing. That's not, yeah. What's the reason and how can I correct it? Well, I'll tell you what, I don't, see, the thing is I'd have to know your diet. I can tell you some common things where people don't lose a pump. One, if you're on carbs, you just need to replenish your carbs more, like after that first workout. And higher glycemic carbs could help with that potentially. 2, if you're low carb, upping your protein on those 2-a-days will actually help give you a pump. Then there are also agents that you can take, like citrulline actually helps. Peak ATP can help with a pump. Betaine oftentimes helps with a pump. Glycerol is boom. That's like the best pump I've ever gotten is glycerol.
Glycerol and salt together.
Glycerol and salt together. So yes, the other thing, you might be a little bit sodium depleted, and oftentimes bodybuilders are terrified of sodium. I put salt on all my food, to be honest, but I'm low carb. So
I put salt in my coffee.
Yeah, salt. Actually, Andy talked to me about this, but salt brings out sweetness.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It
brings out flavor as well.
It brings that sweet salty combination.
Yeah, exactly. So, so absolutely salt your foods. That'll help a little bit. When you're done with workout 1, add a little sodium to your post-workout shake. Actually, it's interesting, but the transporters that carry glucose into the bloodstream, they're based on a co-transport mechanism, and that co-transport mechanism is actually being co-transported with sodium. So a little bit of sodium is going to be very beneficial. Cram Pow's ZH56. What's up, Cram Pow's ZH56? do BCAAs or artificial sweeteners break the fast? If fasting's not eating, yeah, but from a calorie perspective, not really. Unable to, have you done or read any research on restless leg syndrome? Any supplement you know of that could help? That's a really good question. It's a really, really, really good question.
Especially like magnesium.
I was going to say the same thing. Magnesium, try magnesium. That could help with your restless leg syndrome, and then come back to us next week and let us know if that helps. 3 weeks before holiday and I'm not quite ready, what do I need to do?
This is a great question. I mean, I think everybody asks this, like, oh, I have to diet. I didn't diet yet. What should I do? I have a vacation coming up. I'm going to be on the beach.
Yeah, here's the thing. A lot of people diet super hard because of that. I'm going to say a couple things. Number one is if you're not low-carb dieting right now, do it. I think that'll help you get ready for in 3 weeks. Again, check out Ryan P. Lowry. He's got a lot of stuff on that. I'm not going to go more into that, but definitely try low-carb dieting. If you're like, definitely do 2-a-days. I think 2-a-days are the number one thing. Like for me, if I was trying to get ready for a holiday, I would train 2 to 3 times a day. I mean, it works. Like you get leaner. Yeah, exactly. You get leaner doing like 2-a-days, 100%.
It's like pushing off studying, and you study for 24 hours then for the test.
Exactly right. Yeah, you got to train like 2 to 3 times a day. Try low carbs and train it. Or if you're not going to do purely low carbs, you can't do it every day. Train low carb every other day and try some depletion. And definitely do like HIIT at least like 3 to 4 days a week.
What do you think about the belief behind, oh, I should just not eat?
Don't do that. That's not a good idea. That'll make you really flat.
You super compensate as well. You're like, oh, well, I haven't etten for 2 days, so I can eat whatever I want.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Don't do it.
One more thing. Jay Ivings. One more thing. I was going to say jivings. So one more thing, dude. Like, when you're training hard, a lot of people are like, remember, you're going on vacation in 3 weeks. Sleep is very important for fat loss. You can like double the rate of fat loss just by going to bed on time. So this might suck, but go to bed at like 9 o'clock every night and get a healthy, good night's sleep. Magnesium before bed is going to help you. Vitamin D during the day is going to help you. Maybe having a high tryptophan meal before bed is going to help you, like a lot of turkey or something like that. You need to sleep. So at night, like turn off Netflix and go to bed. Wear orange glasses. That might be what you need to get over the hump. Can Burberry negatively impact muscle growth? I think Rachel's asking that because it increases AMPK. But it only increases it short term, and AMPK, people are like, oh my God, it's going to like counter protein synthesis. Short-term AMPK is going to long-term make you less perturbed in the response of fasting or periods. So I would say no, because the increased insulin sensitivity long-term may be beneficial. Doing low-carb, 30-40 grams a day. Do you recommend a refeed high-carb day or not? Olivia, that sounds like, that's the type of low-carb diet that I recommend, especially if your fats are really high. But Olivia, what I'm going to tell you is that I would recommend, instead of that, protein up days. You know what I'm saying? You see, like have 2 days a week where you up your protein really high. That'll help replenish your glycogen, but it won't throw you out of that metabolic state that's optimal for fat burning. When you are having a high day, carb and calorie cycling, should you go with a few big carb meals or space the carbs throughout the day? If your goals are replenish glycogen, I don't really think that matters that much. There's some research from Costal that it really doesn't matter. So whatever you prefer, buddy. Alcohol and gains. Are they correlated? Yes. So next question. What is the best way to not gain fat / lose muscle? Okay. Here's the thing. Not that I drink a lot, right? So, but what I'll say is this: if I'm from California, I like wine, right?
Oh, that's the reason why you like wine. Everybody from California drinks wine. I mean, everybody knows that.
Exactly right. So what's the best way to not gain fat and lose muscle? Number one is that like that day you want to just focus on like basically maintaining protein balance. So it's going to be more of a higher protein day in general, right? A higher protein day, I would typically have like more of a lower. I'd go a higher protein, like lower fat day on that day. So you're minimizing your calories, but you're maximizing repair. The other thing is like berberine can help with stuff like that, maintaining insulin sensitivity. Amino acids, like branched chain amino acids, throughout the night can help. Okay, so that's the one thing. So like if we're having like a holiday get together or something like that, and there's adult beverages, we always keep
Adult beverages.
It was one of my professors used to say that. So
It's like what a 10-year-old comes and says.
Exactly.
Alcohol because he thinks it's a sweet.
Exactly right.
Adult beverages.
Exactly. So you want to make sure that you have. We always have amino acids on hand, right? So if guys come over to my house, right, you can ask them. I have BCAAs on hand.
He's got everything. He's the party.
I am. I got electrolytes on hand. Everything to make sure that you're not going to gain fat, and et cetera, et cetera. Will drop sets be the best thing for building muscle size? Drop sets, as far as a periodized resistance training program, are a great tool, but you don't want to necessarily use them every single workout. Okay. Ryan Lowry's probably, if he's watching this, he's probably saying, "Oh, it's funny because you use them every single workout." But like I would say, you probably shouldn't. But yeah, I'd use them like a couple times a week. I think it's beneficial. Do you take protein right before bed? What does the research say? I do, because I like eating my protein cheesecake at night. There's research that having protein before bed can be beneficial for muscle growth. Yeah.
Somebody else also has fat burners before they go to sleep.
I wouldn't take fat burners before sleep. No, because you're not going to sleep very well, unless it's like berberine or something like that. No.
He was so happy, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, seriously, no, don't do it."
Yeah, you know what the worst though? If you ever by accident taking that before bed, like something that has caffeine,
you can't sleep. You cannot
you can't. You're taking BCAAs before bed, and by accident you open up the pre-workout because it looks like the same container,
That is so
and
dangerous.
you're like, you know what?
And you're like
okay?
wiry.
You're wiry.
You're mentally tired. You're physically
Yeah.
tired.
But you can't.
But your
You
brain
can't
is awake.
sleep. You can't sleep.
I've never done that. I mean, sometimes my BCAAs have caffeine in them, but I've never accidentally drank pre-workout before.
I have. I just said, F it, I'm going to go work out. Eric Olson, what's up, man? Long time no talk. It's like 3 weeks. The Muscle PhD recommendations on how to recover from an epic binge/cheat day. Cool. Post-competition and prep. Had a ton of carbs, fats, and cheat foods. So I'm going to talk in the third person. The Muscle PhD recommends the following. The Muscle PhD recommends A, when you're going to do an epic binge/cheat day, use intermittent fasting for that day. Studies show that when you intermittent fast, they put basically done studies where they have like a McDonald's diet, and when you intermittent fast, you don't gain as much fat, like not even close. 2, berberine. Make sure you take berberine. That's a for sure. I also think Andy, we talked about this the other day, but resveratrol I think could be good when you're bulking or eating like an epic cheat day. It's funny because a lot of people, there's actually research where you binge and eat bad food if you have a glass of wine. It actually helps with insulin sensitivity. So that I'm not telling you to go get wasted. Like a glass of wine could help.
Are there effects with that? Because I feel every time I drink wine with a meal, I don't really eat that much because I get the sensation, the full flavor of the food that much more.
Yeah, I think so. And Andy's going to know more about that than me.
Yeah, I'm much more satisfied.
Wine?
Well, yeah.
Pairing wine with your food.
Wine's gonna. I mean, you're gonna have your food. Maybe you eat a steak, some potatoes, and some green beans. You got the salty, you got the savory, you got the umami. So you have 3 of the different tastes there. Then you add wine in there. You have some sweetness.
Yeah.
You have some bitterness. You have some tannins.
Yeah.
So it's basically you're filling up your palate with all of these different flavors. That's probably just going to make you feel more satiated.
That's great. Brilliant.
Everything's going to be there, so you're like, well, I'm full. Yeah.
So don't advise wine and donuts because they're both sweet.
Depends on the wine. If you're drinking maybe like a...
But I've never tried donuts and wine. How is it?
Just kidding. I was just kidding, but done.
Yeah,
Okay. Have you done that
wines.
though? Have you done that?
No, I never have.
No.
But some more savory wines, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like with a dulce. Yeah, a dulce.
One lesson over.
Yeah, okay, well, but I do have a question for Andy. describe umami.
Umami. Okay.
Yeah, because you
That's
talked about a bunch
pretty
of sweet, savory, salty, yeah, umami. What is
So
it?
you have senses on your tongue. The back is going to be bitter. The front's going to be sweet. Kind of like the front middle is going to be, I can't remember right now. But anyway, you have sweet, salty, bitter, umami, and then you have, I can't remember.
Savory?
Savory is umami.
Okay.
So basically, umami is a Japanese word that describes the flavor of MSG. MSG we know isn't very good. However, it describes that savoriness. So if you eat more Chinese food or Japanese food, it has a savoriness to it. It's basically the mixture of glutamic acid.
Delts are overpowering. You have a small chest. You don't necessarily want to hit your delts with the same frequency as your chest. So first thing is lay out what are your best body parts and what body parts need to be brought up. If you have an overwhelming body part and you want to put it on maintenance, train that once a week. If you're trying to make decent gains, train it twice a week. If you're trying to push it forward on a body part, hit it 3 to 4 times a week. And organize your split in such a manner. If you have a lot of time on your hands or you just are die hard about bodybuilding, like when I was in grad school, I trained 2 to 3 times a day. And that was just my stress relief.
Because gains.
Because gains. In which case, well, now it makes it a lot easier. You can do, back in the morning, shoulders at night, and still do, get everything out, and you can bombard each muscle group.
Sorry, Facebook, we lost you there. One of the phones died.
Yeah. We're back. We're back.
Just read this. I can't.
Real talk. What?
I said inside head.
Oh, just read that? Then you just read it for, okay.
In your head.
Okay. Oh. I didn't read that.
Will, do not say that.
Why didn't read that? Sam would have been pissed off.
Let's see, fold up for weight loss.
Okay.
The MLBL question.
Okay. Can a person lose fat while gaining muscle? 100%. There's no question about it. Anthony says, would a slow tempo, 4 seconds eccentric be shifting recruitment to more slow twitch, even if relatively heavy? I would say muscle fiber recruitment will be... Here's the thing I think you need to understand, okay? When you're going slow and eccentric, it gives your muscle fibers more... Basically, when you're contracting, part of contraction is inside of the muscle you have these filaments, okay? You have filaments, right? So what happens is that, like, when you have more time, more filaments overlap. So if you were going slower, you'll have more filament overlap. That means that the weight per filament, or cross bridge, what we call it, is going to be less per cross bridge. If you go faster, like 2 seconds, you might only develop 2 cross bridges, and now there's more stress on those 2 cross bridges, which means more muscle damage, which means potentially more muscle growth. That's why I don't necessarily recommend, like, if you're going to do slow eccentrics, have someone push down on the weight. Otherwise, like, just control it. I don't see why.
All right, it's time.
Fast. Oh, so fast? Okay. Now, all right, guys. This is going to get me kicked back into gear. Let's do fast,
really quick.
okay?
Right, boom. Choose familiar, too.
So everything's fast, guys. Just so you know. Camille's getting her PhD, actually.
Okay, then.
Yeah. What about those marketed as nighttime fat burners, etc.? BPI and Niper. I have to look at the ingredients, but if it's like insulin sensitizing agents, they could be beneficial. Ashu Damani. Your brother in his dissertation discussed about using leucine frequently with every meal. May not necessarily result in consistent muscle purchases. Can you explain? Basically, yeah, between meals have BCAAs. It helps. Renus Kolar 12. How many exercise sets and reps for each workout for maximum fat loss and bringing out the most detail? The answer is periodized. Some workouts 20 sets, some workouts 10, some workouts 4. Range your reps from anywhere from like 6 to 50. Okay, can you lose muscle in a calorie deficit while maintaining 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight? I mean, yeah, if your training sucks. I mean, and
if you're not eating enough calories.
And if you're not eating enough calories.
More than just that.
Yeah, there's a lot there, but yes. Does coffee and MCT or fat coffee break the intermittent fast? Physiologically, there's a study by Wolf that argues no. I want to see this one. Glass equals two bodies. Thanks for the tips, Doc. Oh, that was Brian. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, that's Ryan Plowry, guys. Like I was talking about, I'm not going into more detail on the MCTs, but you got to follow this guy.
Do you want to know more?
That's my brother right there. My brother. Follow my brother Ryan Plowry on Instagram, and you'll learn more about what we talked about. Okay. Squats or protein cheesecake? Squat and then have protein cheesecake. That's what I do. German body comp training for staying lean and making small gains? Yeah, do it. I think you'll make big gains though. How do you get the mind-muscle connection to the lats? So let's say say Paul's doing a row, so come do a row. Paul's doing a row. Do a row.
What do you want?
Just roll straight back. Like you're doing seated rows. Yeah, there you go. Just palpate the muscle you want activated. So go ahead and do rows. That's it. That's it. Squeeze, squeeze, right there.
I got my pink dumbbell.
There's actually a study. He's feeling it. So there's studies that show that just palpating that back area actually will increase the mind-muscle connection. Actually, Ryan P. Lowry showed me that. Okay. Hello. Why is that after a workout everyone talks about taking protein and not carbs? Because one is necessary, the other's not. Okay. Delyan Dido Dimitrov. Best carb intake for performance per kilogram while maintaining same weight in gymnastics. Probably 3 grams per kg. 3 grams per kilogram, I'd say, if you're on carbs. How often should I do cardio compared to weight training? It depends on your goals. You know what I'm saying? But so it depends on your goals. If you're trying to gain muscle, maybe half the frequency of cardio.
This one might be no longer.
Okay, Ash Tree says, I'm just going to call you Ash, okay? Have you done any research on whether or not to count oligosaccharides in protein bars, specifically when low-carb dieting? Should you count them as net or total? You know what's interesting? Daniel, one of my good friends, Daniel Rego, actually texted me when I was on this. We did research on isomaltol oligosaccharides that are in protein bars, and basically you don't count them as fiber. They're a low glycemic carb. So think about isomaltol oligosaccharides is more like a sweet potato or oatmeal. Quality carb, but it's not really a fiber. So yeah, you have to count them as a low glycemic carb. That's what I would say. It's just not fiber. How do you feel about HMB versus leucine? Use them both. They both operate through separate mechanisms. The combination of HMB with creatine monohydrate, brilliant combination because both speed recovery from muscle damage. And before or after a workout. In my doctoral work, we found taking it before was better. And Dr. Antonio found, for some reason, creatine after a workout was beneficial. So there you go. That was cool. That was really rapid fire. It was 5 questions. It was boom, boom, boom.
That's the last question.
What's your real name, sir? That's a really good question. It's not. I'll give you a hint. It's not the Muscle PhD.
Birth certificate says otherwise.
It's Jacob Wilson. Okay. If you want concentric only training, no.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, listen. Like I said, do me a huge favor. If you're on Facebook, share this. Because the other Facebook died out, go to that one too and share that too. I'm gonna be honest with you, you sharing this information getting out to people, your comments, your feedback is the air that I breathe. I said that earlier. It's like the water that I drink. It's my life force. So if you just share this, I'm breathing. You're giving me air, right?
We need him to breathe.
And yeah, exactly. So share this as much as possible.
I need you, Doc.
Yeah.
Don't die.
Exactly. So, and other than that, I love you guys. Next week, definitely tune in. You want to come in probably maybe 2 minutes before because there's going to be a lot of questions because I'm going to go into a really in-depth discussion on how to make your hamstrings jacked. I'll see you guys next week. Love you. I missed you, by the way.
I love